This is our third podcast now.
Yes.
We're on a roll. It's going well.
It's going well.
So I think one thing that's important that we talk about in business, just whether it be about Wilson Pro Painting, whether it be about anything, like it comes down to stress. Like, you manage your stress, and it's lonely to be in business by yourself. And so we do things. We have mentors. We reach out to people. We have huddle calls within our business to ultimately help other people see that other people go through the same things. You celebrate successes. You celebrate, struggles. You celebrate funny moments. I mean, yesterday, this is actually something that happened. One of the guys that we work with, he's running a business in Edmonton, and he got off of his ladder and he left a cut can, a cut can's like a can of paint with I think it had like a quarter full of paint in it. No. And it was in a secure spot. And he watched a crow fly and land on the paint and the can and knock it over. And it literally spilt all over the roof.
This just happened, you say?
This just happened yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
It was, it was brilliant.
That would have given Frank a heart attack.
He actually said, he's like, I almost jumped off. I was ready to go up the ladder and just jump off the roof.
It's just what do you do, right? Like, you can't control those things.
No. Yeah. And it's almost like, had he not seen it happen, there's no way that he would have ever, he would have just seen the can of paint that, oh my gosh, how did that spill?
That's right. That's why I'll tell my guys, it's important when you're building a business to have leaders where they can filter some of those things, because as a business owner, I don't want to know every little detail, right? Like, I want to know the important stuff that I can fix, and I want to mentor. There's things that these guys are capable of fixing themselves, but if I heard everything, I would go crazy, because as a business owner, it's like it's our babies. I want to fix everything. So if they told me the painter got mad at me today, that's added stress. So even if I told Frank, if you spill a paint can, I don't want to know about it, man. Just take care of it. I don't. Just take care of it. Yeah. Just let me know if you need involvement and you need support. But these things, I don't need to know about, and I don't think you should, because you can only handle too much.
And that ties into the leadership of your teammates, of the members in your company, that they can deal with those things.
Yes.
And ultimately, the less that they stress that they put on you as the commander in chief, as the guy leading everything, the less stress they put on you is going to ultimately lead to more sales, more growth, more development, more ideas.
That's right.
Because, and ultimately you need to deal with the stress, but you don't need to, like you say, know about absolutely everything.
Yeah. Stress is a very real thing, especially in, building a company or building a business. With that being said, are you stressed?
Yeah, I am stressed. I don't need to get into what I'm stressed about, right. But I look back on life and with all the things I've had to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in the beginning, I think about being stressed about coaching people and are they going to be able to actually perform? I think about stress with my kids and worried about them. And I think about, just stress. If I've, there's been times, I'm sure, like everybody, you put your foot in your mouth and you do something wrong and you feel bad about it. I think that in life, and this ties into my Dale Carnegie stuff, is that the reason why I actually joined Dale Carnegie is that, and how I was sold is I remember, I said, well, why should I take this course? And what would be the advantages? And the lady said to me, the sales lady on the phone said, well, have you ever, in life, it's like driving a car and have you ever accidentally cut anybody off in your life? And I said, yeah, I think I have. I remember when I was a new driver and I cut somebody off and this guy's giving me the finger at the traffic light. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I think he's going to get out of the car and he's going to punch my lights out. Right. But what she was getting at is that in life, and it was a total accident, but in life, we accidentally also cut people off and we don't intend to, we don't mean to do that. And we feel bad afterwards. Mm-hmm. And so,
that's a good perspective.
So what she was able to, one of the things that sold me on taking that course, getting back to that, is that is just to kind of be more aware.
What's the name of the course?
Dale Carnegie. The Dale Carnegie, yeah. And then he wrote the famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I've known about the book. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he also wrote the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And if you see my Dale Carnegie book, it's been read. I think I've read the book 5 times.
Worn out.
It's completely worn out. And I keep it because I love seeing it.
Yeah.
I've lent it out. It's come back to me even more worn out. So yeah, it's a well-read book. And I would recommend that to anybody. But in my travels, the stress graduated to, as you start to play in a bigger sandbox, the stress that comes with that grows. It's much bigger.
Yeah.
And actually it was an operator that I worked with who ended up being a really, really good friend of mine, came to my wedding, and he now lives in Victoria. His name's Ryan Adams. Not Brian Adams, Ryan Adams.
Yeah.
And he would always say...
Brian Adams the singer?
Yeah, the singer. Yeah. No, but Ryan, spelled with 2 Ds, Addams. Yeah. And he's a good friend. And he always says that everything always works out. And so when we were always stressed and he was running his business and I was district managing and I'd be like stressed about something, he'd be saying, everything always works out. And to this day, I use that. Like I use that and I talk to myself. I'm like, man, everything's going to always work out.
I'm not even joking. Like you just saying that, I just took a deep breath and I just felt like a bit like 5 pounds lighter.
Well, yeah. And it's just,
because it's so true.
You're faced with these things and you always, and the other thing that I find is that everything always seems bigger, like in terms of like a bigger deal than it actually is. And that's the fact. And you always look back and you know what, that wasn't as big of a deal as I made it out to be in my own mind. Like we make these things to be grandiose and oh my gosh, like how am I going to get over this? And you find a way to get over it.
It's like there's a visualization, a little drawing that talks about that specifically of you making the problems way larger than they actually are. And it's an ocean, right? And then there's like a little stick figure in the corner. And the ocean is supposed to be the problem that you're visualizing. Oh my God, it's like so deep, so big. And then you actually take a step into the ocean and it's actually just a little puddle. And it's like 3 inches deep. And you're like, oh, wait a second. It's not terrible.
It's not as bad.
It's not as bad.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. And
I mean, I've been very fortunate. I mean, I've had people have some pretty, like I had one extreme, I would say bad accident that happened on a job. And it was where like, I didn't know if the person was okay. And I was just envisioning the worst, right? And it worked out. And then I had another situation where it was a mistake on a job that led to, I thought would be some pretty big damage on a job. And ultimately it was able to be fixed, right? Like, it was an insurance claim. I've only had one in my entire career. That's 30 years. 30 years of only having one. So when it happened, you sit there and you instantly think the worst. Like, am I going to have to pay for this? And can I afford to pay for this? And
am I going to go bankrupt? Like
my reputation, right? Like what's going on? And so those things happen, but then, you deal with them and you move on. And then the other thing in terms of dealing with stress, one thing that I find is so, so important. So many times we get communicated with respect to whether it be a text message or a very kind of contentious or stressful email. And my advice is you pick up the phone and you call right away.
Yes.
It's like you face it head on. You don't let it linger. And if it's something that that you have to deal with that day, you wake up in the morning, it better be the first thing that you deal with. And I always say this to my wife. I say, that sounds like a phone call, not an email.
Yeah.
And there's literally times where I actually will see my wife, and I've done this, where you're typing out this long email and you get to the end of it and you're just like, the other person on the other end could read it and find that it's contentious or they could take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
You pick up the phone and it's amazing when you communicate with the tonality of your voice and you hear the other person that ultimately at the end of the day, nothing is perfect and both people want a solution.
It's really hard to get your message across, like texting, email. It's like, I also like voice recorders. Like I send you a lot of voice notes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it does help you get your message across, the tonality, like where you're coming from. And that's one of the reasons why I do it. But 100%, if you just let it linger and you didn't avoid the problem, which is what a lot of people like to do, they don't like confrontation, it just becomes 10 times worse. Talking about you, obviously, you said your sandbox became larger. With that, there's other stresses, other problems.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps adding on, especially as you're growing, right? But it's also important to have a toolbox, a mental toolbox that you can use to handle those stresses. So what do you use? What techniques do you use? How do you manage this constant flow of problems and issues? Because they're not going to go away.
Well, the one thing I do is I look at the problem, and the very first thing that I always do is ask myself, what is the worst case scenario? Then step number 2, I accept that worst case scenario. Okay. So then by accepting that worst case scenario, I'm like, I've already sold myself, like this could actually be what happens. And then the third step is that I try to make it better than that. And if I can make it better than that, then I've won.
That's good.
Right. So for me, it's those 3 things, and then the other thing with all of it is just own it. I mean, it's so easy to fix something that you can take accountability for.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is when and it happens, you'll meet a customer and they're trying to hold you accountable for things that are just it's not you. It's not on you. It's on a previous paint job, right? It's on the fact that maybe it's a structural thing with their home. Like there's a blistering issue, for example. And no matter what I do, no matter how many times I scrape their blisters and resand and reprime, nothing I can do short of refinishing their house by taking all the paint off is going to make it right.
Yeah.
Those are the stressful situations and you try to set those expectations well in advance so that the clients, they understand that this could happen. But ultimately there's just sometimes that there's nothing you can really do.
Well, there's something you can do, and take those events as lessons and change and create filters around that. If you see those stressful moments and see, okay, well, how could I have avoided that if I could have? Because there's always something you could have done better. And that's what I like to implement and at least in our business. I'm like, okay, well, this is out of our hands, but maybe
what could we have done?
What could we have done better? And so
I do take that. And I will say that there has been times I believe in business that I what I could have done better. I probably shouldn't have booked the job. It can come back to that. There was things that happened within the estimate.
Yeah.
Or I said that this is when I was much more junior, less experienced, where I promised something that ultimately no one could have delivered, if that makes sense. And that's why I got myself in that situation. And I can go right back to the very beginning, and I would never have created that stress in the first place. I just been honest with myself, and it's okay as well. If I would have maybe I would have left and done some more research and went, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Yeah. And it would have been okay before I started the job to go to the customer and say, look, I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen because
we're not the right fit.
We're not the right fit.
That's it.
And I'm sure that they would have been upset, but it would have saved so much more stress, right? Than actually having tried to do it.
I'm guilty of that. How many times have I taken clients that you're like, Julian, don't do it.
Don't do it. You don't want every client. You don't want every client.
No. That's true.
I think the big thing with stress is just to, hit it head on, own it, tell yourself what's the worst case scenario, try to make it better, and always tell yourself everything's going to work out. It's going to.
Here's one for you. Stress versus pressure. Do you know the difference?
I think that when it comes to for example, when we coach people, I believe that you do need to have employees. So we're coaching our franchisees. Go and hire employees. Because then by you hiring employees, that's going to put pressure on you to think, oh, I'm providing work for these employees. I need to go out there and get them work.
That's right.
So that provides the pressure for you to go there and make sure that you're doing the things necessary to market your business and get work for clients and market, sell, all of the above, right? Book your estimates. do a certain number of estimates every week because you're going to get a certain return
Yeah.
on doing those estimates, which within that return is going to be work for your employees.
Absolutely.
So that would be my example of pressure.
Yeah.
Do you have any others that?
Well, I agree with you. I think you nailed it in the head. And I think there's a correlation between pressure and stress. But in my mind, I see it as pressure being a positive thing. Mm-hmm. Stress is actually negative. Stress is like it comes when you didn't do what you're supposed to. Now you're taking
it's reactive.
It's reactive. Now I'm like, crap, like what do I do now? But pressure is like, you got something to do, and then it kind of pushes you to do that, but it's in a positive way.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you. And I like to be, I think it's important to be in that area of stress or pressure, because stress can ultimately, that's what kills. That's what leads to burnout. That's what leads to I can't do this anymore, and clouds judgment and everything else. So, but if you take action and you have things organized and you use pressure to your advantage, that's when you fast forward and succeed quicker.
Right.
It's 100%.
It's also, I think, a skill to put that pressure on yourself.
Oh,
in a way, like even like for personal things and running your business, and whether that's your health, whether that's your...
It comes with what standards am I going to hold myself to? What are my standards, right? Well,
it's interesting. Like, so I mentioned in a previous podcast that I stopped drinking, and that the pressure of not drinking, if it was just me making it a promise to myself, then I may have a beer, and then you have another beer. And, I didn't stop drinking because necessarily it was an issue. But now looking back, it was a health issue, like, in terms of my focus and my drive and just being on point. But how I was able to apply pressure to get healthier was by a commitment to my colleagues and a commitment to them and a promise to them as the leader to say, look, like, this is something that I'm not doing anymore. So now if they knew that I slipped, it would look really bad. It would be a horrible example, right? So that's the pressure as far as that example that I put on myself.
Yeah, I like that. I do that a lot too. I do that with my goals. Like I know some people are like, no, just keep it to yourself, work in silence. And I do the work in silence, but it also is beneficial for me to tell people this is what I'm going to accomplish. Because if I don't do it,
it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, and I'm not going through that, right? So yeah, so I think it's a good technique to keep you for accountability purposes as well, but that applied pressure. So
do you find that what's in terms of stress and pressure, you've got a lot of jobs going on. You're trying to do $2 million in sales. You should hit that. What are your sales at now?
I think we're closing into $1 million.
Okay. So closing out $1 million, you got another $1 million to go sales wise. Do you got how many crews do you have going on?
I think it's funny because like I told you before in the other podcast, I'm a little bit not detached completely, but I don't know the specifics of production. If you know what I mean. Like I have people that handle that. So the other day I called Frank. I'm like, hey, so, I'm getting this message from this Andrew guy. Who's this Andrew guy? He's like, oh, he's a painter. When did he get hired? He's like, oh, he's been with us for like 2 weeks. I'm like, what? How many painters do we have? He's like, oh, dude, we're running like six projects last week. Now we're running 10. Like, I'm like, awesome. That's great. And how's everything? Good. What I'm trying to say is like, I don't really know, but Frank is taking care of everything right now. But I think right now we are at like 8 to 10 job sites. So high 20s. I think he's got groups of 3s in each job site. So yeah, it's going. It's going.
Well, Frank's the king.
Frank's the king of production. Yeah, I handle the sales. He handles the production, and then we complement each other. We just make sure that we're in sync, right? So if I try to sell something, I make sure I call Frank first. Otherwise, he gets mad. He's like,
really?
We can't handle it. We need more people. And then I try to help when I can. But he's
That's good.
Yeah, he's a people person.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's good that you have that team, that connection.
Right.
With your guys.
He's actually gotten to know me very well, in the sense that, he obviously knows I got my pressures, I got my stresses. He does too. But when there's something going on the job site, he tells the superintendents, don't tell Julian, tell me. Julian doesn't need this added stress, which I appreciate about him. I really do appreciate that, because he knows, like, okay, well, Julian's judgment and clarity is beneficial for us if he focuses on what he needs to focus. And this does not require his attention right now. Going back to what we were talking about before. And that's something I really appreciate about Frank. Yeah. So I'm guessing that happens the same thing with Galen and Keelan in your end. Or does every little problem get to you?
No, everything doesn't. And what I've done is I've empowered them this last 2 years, that within their markets. So Galen's responsible for BC and Keelan and Winnipeg, and Keelan's Alberta and Northern BC, that when something happens, if there is a situation that needs to be dealt with, that it's on them. Like they need to be the first conduit of getting things dealt with. I mean, not that I wouldn't ever step in, but that's their role. And honestly, that's the responsibility I've given them. And I think that they cherish that responsibility and they like it. Otherwise, I feel like if I just dealt with everything, that they would not feel that growth. Right, and that's what we talked about again in a previous podcast with leadership and, letting people have opportunity.
And it's not like you don't care. It's just like you've delegated properly. You've empowered them to take on these, these problems themselves. It also doesn't help that if they told you don't know the context of things. So automatically you're thinking, this is way worse than
100%.
Like, leave everything. We're going to fix this right now. And that can ultimately hurt, their business, because you're making a decision without the total, the complete information.
Right.
So if there's anybody suitable to fix this issue, it's probably them.
100%. I mean,
to a point.
And it's not that I wouldn't coach them. I still want to coach them. If they called me and they're like, hey, this is the situation, and what do we, how do we handle it? And so how I've actually helped them evolve. And there's actually another book that I would really encourage people to read. It's called The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey.
I still haven't read that one.
By Kenneth Blanchard. And so what happens is if the metaphor of the book is that you have your employees come up to you and they have all these monkeys climbing all over them. And the monkeys resemble problems, and they're trying to give the monkeys back to you and then all of a sudden you, as the leader, you take on the problem. But the proper way of doing this is to coach them. No,
keep your monkeys,
right? You deal with what needs to happen.
I think Dan Martell preaches about this as well.
So with that book, what the first step is that you work with your manager, say it's Frank, for me, Galen, Keelan, and you come up with solutions, say solution A, solution B, solution C with them. And then you ask them, well, what do you think is the best solution? And we think it's option B. Okay. And then, that's right. And you steer them in the right direction as from your experience. Then after that, the next time they come to you with a problem, you're like, no, you come to me with the solutions, then I will coach you on which one I think is best. So you get them to start thinking about the solutions that they need to impose on whatever situation they're dealing with. The third step is the step where they've graduated, and that's where you find out about things that happen after the fact.
Yeah.
Right? Did you know that a painter today landed on a can of paint and knocked it off the roof? But this is what we did. It's all solved. We just told you because we thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the evolution of a leader teaching people that are within their business how to handle situations and how to come up with solutions for problems.
Yeah. You want to lower your stress levels? Coach your guys. Dedicate some time, train them. And this is a great technique. We've actually applied this to our business too.
Right.
And it helps. It always helps. And at the beginning, before we knew about this, is we were just expecting people to know. Well, we hired you to do this. Well, just go ahead and fix it. And I'm like, no, you're just hurting yourself by doing that. And you're not being a good leader.
Right.
So I agree with you. Yeah,
right.
We've empowered Jose, who's also 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he's wanting to become a superintendent next year. So we're starting to train him We built them up from a painter to a on-site crew chief, and we've applied this same technique. He's like, he comes to us and he's like, I want to verify this, verify this, verify this. How do you do it? And like, stop. You've been with us 2 years. Give me 3 different outcomes, and like you said, which one do you think is the best one? And tell me the reason why. Just don't tell me just the first thing that comes out of your mind. Tell me the reason why. And he walking through the whole thing, and out loud. Then that's where the teaching happens. That's when he starts to learn.
Right.
So,
and then when they start to implement too, then they just become better at managing situations.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. One of the things that, I still coach Frank. I coach Frank so he can coach Adam and Andres. And I actually had a conversation last year with him. And I said, I need to apologize to you. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I'm seeing what's happening with you and with Adam and Andres, our superintendents. It's what was happening with me and you. I created this habit of you having to come to me and you not having a voice. And it's everything that I said. Like I kind of like conditioned you to not think.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my fault. And now you've done the same with these 2 guys because I did this to you. So this is what you need to do. And then we started working on that. And now he's giving them autonomy.
Autonomy, yeah.
But it was so hard for him to let go because I did the same thing.
Well, and that's what happens. And that's why you hear so many people, so many business owners, there's so many like one-man carpentry companies, one-man plumbing companies. And they say, oh, I can't hire anyone to do it because
if you want to get something done right, you do it yourself. I hate that.
Well, that's what happens. And ultimately, if again, reading the 1 Minute Manager, he says, if you can get somebody to do something to 75% to the effectability that you're winning. You need to be able to delegate that and have metrics for follow-up so that you can make sure that, you're not just like handing the keys to someone and you're never following up. There needs to be quality assurance.
What's the saying we always say is trust but verify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trust but verify.
And have a system that verifies, whether that's like we use Company Cam or whether that's, you want to put things on WhatsApp and or whether that's even having an assistant or following up with the client.
Our systems here.
Or following up with the client, just having this calling the client and asking them.
Yep.
How are things? How is the end of the day?
SOPs also.
Right.
SOPs for everything, for the smallest thing. Just give them SOPs. Have a, like you said, follow-up system. As simple as just checking it with me 15 minutes at the beginning of the day. Maybe like at the end of the day as well, 5 minutes just to, hey, walk me through anything that came that you weren't sure how to tackle. So the next time you know how to do it. Exactly. And that's part of the coaching. Yeah.
And that also helps you sleep at night when you have those verification procedures in place. You're going to feel much more, at ease when you know that things have been put away properly, that the client is happy, and you followed up with. I'm sure you followed up with Frank to make sure that the clients are being followed up with, and there's a system for this, and Frank has systems for his superintendents that are on all of the job sites that you do, right? So we have these systems in place just to make sure that things don't slip through the cracks, and if they do, we have a meeting, we see what went wrong, we do a postmortem, and we make sure that it's right going forward.
Yeah. One thing I've actually told my guys is, there's times where I'm driving around and I know what you guys' plans are for the day. And I think about 1 or 2 things that could go wrong. And instead of going, they'll probably figure it out. I like to take 30 seconds to just send a voicemail. And I'm like, hey, this crossed my mind. Just a heads up. I don't know, you probably already contemplated, but I like to put it out there just in case.
Yeah.
And I do that because it's happened to me before where I'm like, they probably got this, like this could go wrong, stuff like that. But I'm just not going to say that because I feel like they're responsible for that. But I'm actually setting them up for failure.
By not saying anything.
I mean, if I oversay things or if I over support, it's not going to hurt anybody, but it could save a lot of things, right?
Right.
So that's something we always say. And when things go wrong, at a lower level, like let's say on a job site or something, and the superintendent or supervisor tells me, like, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it. I was like, well, why didn't you say anything? Oh, well, that was our responsibility. I'm like, are we a team, or are we like, why didn't you?
That happens a lot, right? And you just think, and I always say it too, if you're driving around and you think, oh, I wonder if I should call this person about this, then call that person about this. And you may find out the person may say, I got it. I already did it, actually.
Yeah.
Great. Or, I bet you half the time they're going to be like, oh, shoot, thanks for calling me. I got to do that.
Yeah.
You can just save so much stress.
That's right.
Down the road.
That's right.
So.
True. Let's talk about loyalty. How do you build loyalty? I know we talked about company culture the last podcast, but what's something that keeps people loyal to you, to your views, and how do you find that loyalty, undivided loyalty?
Well, there's a few things. One, I find that giving people like time and care, I think is a big one. Like you don't want to like just kind of let people be kind of out there dangling, and you don't communicate with them. And also then just being down to earth, just being real. I'm a real open book with how I talk to people. I tell them about my successes, my problems. They know about my kids. Like I just become friends with them.
Sounds like you built relationships.
Yeah. Like it's just, I don't look at the people that I work with are my friends.
Yeah.
And someone said to me once, I'd rather my painters become my friends than my friends become my painters.
That's good.
And that, I think, it was really insightful. As time goes on, I enjoy sharing, for example, with you or Galen or Keelan, things about that have happened in my family or my kids. And I enjoy talking to you guys about that. And to me, like some might say, oh, you're blurring the lines, but no, I mean, we've built that connection. So I think that loyalty just evolves over time because we build a relationship with one another. Yeah.
I agree with you, and I agree, but I also disagree with you in one sense. I totally agree that we need to build relationships, because as soon as you stop communicating, you start touching base with your team. That's when it just becomes a regular job. Feels like the boss doesn't care. It's like everything else. But I don't see the people that I work with as friends. I see them as teammates. I think about it as a sports team. Because if I start seeing them as a friend or a very close family member, things like that, then the next steps or my direction or anything like that, my action's going to be skewed and biased.
Well, I don't hang out with people within my business outside of work.
Right.
That is one thing I don't do. But when I'm at work, we talk as friends.
Oh, I see.
That's what I mean by that.
Oh, okay.
So like, I'm not going to, if I go for dinner with Galen and Keelan, it's always over business. It's not, hey, let's go hang out. Right. I do have that. I believe that line is there in the sand. It's just that when we're at work, we're friends.
Yeah.
We're friends. We're friends getting the job done.
Right.
Working together to accomplish one goal.
Yeah, 100%. It's good because otherwise, your emotions get in the way, and you stop making good decisions, right? And if you see it from the other perspective, where it's like it's like a team in a sport in a sports game or whatever tournament, then we're all working together and we keep each other accountable, and it's like we're holding each other to a very, very high standard. And sometimes when you're friend, you get a friend involved in your company, it's really hard to do that.
It's hard.
It's really 100%. Hard to do that.
And that's happened in my career, where you're like, how am I going to deal with this situation? I don't want this person in my business. So
100%. So
anyways, let's I think we can wrap up this podcast and say goodbye to our viewers, and
shorter one, but
thank them.
We'll see you in the next one.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.